Hey there! Did you know Kroger always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices? And when you download the Kroger app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Kroger today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Penscast recap. And thankfully, tonight is a victorious recap show. Before we get into the scoring, where the Penguins are victorious in a crazy one in Beantown against the Bruins, a 6-5 victory. Like I said, though, before we get into the boatload of scoring, we will talk first about a little bit overview of the game, and for that I will turn it over to Snail for his thoughts.
Yep, coming into this one a little bit nervous. The Boston Bruins are not doing what they did last year, but I would say they're performing better than expected this season. They're just a juggernaut of a team again, even without Bergeron and Krejci. They're just a strong team with a lot of depth. Their new captain, Brad Marchand, friend of Sid in the offseason, but a pest who can light it up. McAvoy is a stalwart on the back end. They've got puck-moving defensemen in Shattenkirk and Grzelcyk. Charlie Coyle, Trent Frederick, Connor Geekie, or is it Morgan Geekie? I think it's Morgan Geekie. His brother's Connor Geekie. Former Penguin Danton Heinen. They've just got a bunch of guys that can really shoot the puck well. And we saw it today. It was a very high-scoring affair. There was a lot of chaos. At times tonight, it just felt like they were playing with like corked bats. It felt like every shot was just really jumping off the stick. Boston, the fans that building's never easy to play in. So, like I said, maybe a little nervous coming into this game. But the Penguins this season showing a characteristic that is fortuitous and good, and when they play an opposition or a team that's good, they tend to rise to the occasion and play pretty well. It's the teams that stink that they lay an egg against, but they certainly brought it tonight. Sid was dancing tonight. We'll get more into that. Big Jeff Carter, I believe he's number 77 in all-time goal scoring, right behind Pavel Bure. So just a tremendous outpouring of offense tonight, and we will get into that as I pass it over to Robbie, who will break down the scoring.
Yeah, crazy game, and the scoring tonight got started quick, and it came in bunches, especially in the first period. For the second game in a row, the Penguins give up an early goal inside the first minute. This is, as you mentioned, the pest Brad Marchand at 41 seconds. Getting his 14th of the year from Pasternak and McAvoy, two guys that Snell just talked about, and it's 1-0 quick. And given the Penguins' history at TD Garden, you start to worry early that this might not be a very good night. But credit to them, they fight hard and level the score at 5:04. Drew O'Connor on fire, staying on fire, his 5th of the year from Crystal Tang and Lars Eller. And this was just the start of a Penguins explosive first period here. A minute 13 later, Ryan Graves, the much maligned Ryan Graves, gets his 2nd of the year. Sidney Crosby and Ricard Raquel on the assist. It is 2-1, just like that. And they tend to turn the game on its head, but that does not last very long. Just 22 seconds later, David Pasternak, his 2nd point of the night, his 23rd goal of the year from Hampus Lindholm, and Morgan Geekie ties it at 2. But do not fret. Less than a minute later, Jake Gensel makes it 3-2 Penguins. His 18th of the year from Crosby and Letang at 7:21. And then the scoring does kind of slow down, but Lars Eller gets his 2nd point of the night at 15:58, what turns out to be his 7th goal of the year. O'Connor again with an assist here, and Erik Karlsson gets on the score sheet as well. And a crazy first period ends 4-2. And you just knew that the Penguins, they bounced back. They had a good first period. They led by 2. But this game was far from over. The scoring was far from done. Second period here, 6:38. Jeff Carter, his 5th of the season to make it 5-2 Pittsburgh. Letang and Brian Rust with the assist. And then the comeback starts for the Bruins at home. They get the crowd going. Morgan Geekie, his 7th of the year at 9:51. Pasternak, his 3rd point in as many goals for the Bruins at this point. McAvoy gets in another assist. It's 5-3. And then the last thing the Penguins needed was to give up a goal before going into the break, but they do just that at 19:24. Jake DeBrusk gets his 7th of the year from Brandon Carlo, and there is Geekie again showing up with his 3rd point of the night, and it's 5-4 Penguins after 2 periods of play, and you just felt it coming at some point. And again, the power play in this situation, letting the Penguins down. Brad Marchand, his 15th of the year, is shorthanded at 3:08. Assist from Charlie Coyle. It's 5-5, and the vibes are bad at this point. But credit to the Penguins for buckling down. At 11:19 in the 3rd period, Sidney Crosby, his 3rd point on the night is a power play goal, his 22nd of the year. Erik Karlsson is the lone assist. It's 6-5 Penguins, and that somehow, with all the scoring, ends up being the final. The Penguins do shut it down from that point on, and they leave Boston with a win. They bounce back from that loss the other night against Washington, and just a crazy game. Some quick stats here on the Penguins side. Crosby, 3 points, just an absolute monster performance from Sid. His pass on the Gensel goal was absolutely disgusting. Great play all around from Crosby there. Lars Eller with 2 points, a goal and an assist. Drew O'Connor again with 2 points, a goal and an assist. And Erik Karlsson registers 2 points as well as a defenseman. And Chris Letang, no goals, but 3 assists. And as we know, 3 assists equals 1 goal, according to Bob Airy. The goalie's not a great night to be a goalie, no matter who you were. Alex Nedeljkovic, maybe his worst performance of the season. And Jeremy Swayman, also not great as well. They had actually matching save percentages tonight, but not a great night for the goalies. But offensively, the Penguins come up big when they need it most in a building that they struggle in, and just get a very, very, very crucial win.
Crucial win as I'm looking right now at the wild card race. And yes, I know it is the beginning of January, but how the Penguins have sort of positioned themselves and their slow start to the season, every point, every game going forward until the playoffs is going to be extremely important. Way more important than had they banked points and kind of gotten themselves a better position. But we are where we're at. And right now, unless these haven't been updated yet, which I do believe these are freshly updated, the wild card, the Philadelphia Flyers are in the first wild card spot with 44 points. And right below them, it's the New Jersey Devils, and then the Washington Capitals and the Pittsburgh Penguins, all with 42 points. And right under them, it's Tampa Bay and Detroit, separated only by 1 point with 41 and then 40. And then it's a little bit of a drop-off, but even that drop-off, it's 37 points. So quite the logjam for the wild card right now in the East. And the Penguins are playing. I mean, the playoffs start for the Penguins almost like they pretty much almost they've already started for the Penguins. So a big win against a tough opponent in Boston. And Boston's not going away anytime soon. The Penguins need to keep these games rolling. I think that they're kind of playing with some urgency the last few games. I don't know if somebody had a chat in the locker room. I don't know if something was made clear that it may be leadership, maybe Sid, who knows. But they seem to be playing with a burr in their saddle. Drew O'Connor, I kind of wanted to just quickly speak on him. Every game, it seems like this guy is elevating into, he's kind of jumping into a little bit of a different level. He's elevating his game. There's this urgency and tenacity he's showing. He's a dog on the puck. He's kind of got like what's his name? That Hyman out in Edmonton who used to play for Toronto. He kind of reminds me of him a little bit. Doesn't have quite the scoring touch. We know the scoring touch is there. But tonight, I was thoroughly impressed with Drew O'Connor's game. I was liking everything. I've been saying his name a little bit more often, and you can have our qualms with Jeff Carter for his play maybe in the past. He's an old man now, but I'm liking what we're seeing out of him lately. I love that exchange with he had drawn a penalty from Charlie McAvoy, who anyway Jeff tossed his stick, gave him a little stinky glove to the face, told him to beat it essentially. I just love seeing that big Jeff Carter playing kind of like a grumpy old man and a bully. The depth coming through. I thought Achari looked strong tonight. Even if the depth isn't scoring, it's I don't know about you, Robbie, but it's easy to see when they're engaged and they're making a difference, whether it's on the penalty kill, defensively, banging bodies, chasing down pucks, getting clears when you need them. It's the little things like that I noticed that I just applaud the bottom six for coming through.
Absolutely, definitely engaged and were throughout the game. And to win a game like that against the Bruins, you have to be you have to get something from your bottom six, and you do get the Eller goal and the O'Connor goal, which are obviously huge in a game like that when the difference is only 1 point. And the Carter goal, I forgot about that as well. So I mean, without that, it's not even a close game at all. But on top of that, then they just played a very good, solid game. That bottom six, the depth really showed up tonight in a big way. They all kind of played mad from the other night. And then to top it all off, when the bottom six plays like that, and then you get a quintessential Crosby game out of the whole thing, you're going to be tough to beat. You're tough to beat on a night when Crosby plays like that without any help. But when you get a Crosby game like that, 3 points and he made it look easy, and then you get the bottom six showing up, it all comes together for a team like that. And that just shows you the Penguins' potential of what they can do if that bottom six can just all kind of figure it out, and they can kind of just mesh and get that chemistry rolling. And games like this happen more than just 3 or 4 times a month. They happen on a more regular basis, and the Penguins keep fighting for that playoff positioning. You look back at – go ahead. What's that?
Absolutely. I was going to say, Sid just working the face-off dot tonight, too. He's just like, dude, he's got this demeanor. Like, he looks like he's on such a mission. I mean, he's a pretty stoic captain, but, I mean, there's something in his just demeanor. He just kind of looks pissed. I think he took last year personally, and I think maybe the team is, I don't want to say buying in, but I feel like the team is finally getting it. Like, they're kind of following suit in his approach. Everyone's playing with a little bit of an edge, a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and the tenacity's there. And I think it's all coming from Sid, the captain.
Absolutely. Crosby was 16 and 6 on the dot tonight for 7% on the draw, that's unreal. I mean, that's unreal. The only player better than him on the Penguins was Lars Eller, who went 9, but he was only 9 for 3, and he went for 75% tonight. Just as a kind of comparable there, Charlie Coyle was 10 and 16. Morgan Geekie was 3 and 9. Their best performer was Pavel Zacha at 7 and 2, and it's really a stark difference for Crosby against the Bruins when he would go up against Bergeron. And as good as Crosby was, Bergeron on the draw was one of, if not the best faceoff man in the league, and was kind of a thorn in Crosby's side. So you saw a big difference there tonight. And again, Boston is a really good hockey team. Maybe not as fearful now, though, that a guy like Bergeron's not there. They had a lot of change from last year, and credit to Jim Montgomery, their head coach, for getting this team ready, not only after losing all that talent, but if you think about how their season ended, the best record ever in an NHL regular season. They go out in the first round, but all credit to that franchise for getting them ready and back in contention right away. But the Penguins tonight, again, in a barn they do not play well in. Historically struggle in Boston, in TD Garden. Boston seems to play a game the Penguins are not fond of playing, more physical style. But the Penguins tonight, again, the physicality was there, but they just outskilled the Bruins over the course of 60 minutes. The Bruins are going to get there. It's David Pastrnak. He does what he does. I mean, it's just basically what he does is routine. It feels like most of the time. He's so smooth when he's on the ice. But the Penguins' big guns show up tonight too, in the form of Crosby, Gensel, Carlson, Letang, all register big nights. And again, not a great night to write home about the goaltending, but neither goalie stole the show tonight. Alex Nedeljkovic, just enough better than Jeremy Swayman to get the job done. And I mean, yeah, sometimes you got to win shootouts, regardless of who they're against. Good teams, bad teams. Sometimes you just need a game where the goalies just don't have it, and you just go out there and you kind of globetrotter around for 60 minutes and put the goals in the net, and you just hope at the end of the day you end up having more than they do.
Yep, I like the way you said that. Sometimes when it's a shootout like that, it's better to just go ahead and play that game. The Penguins have firepower. They have the cast, the supporting cast to put pucks in the net. And if the goalies aren't on, why? I mean, it's just, you might as well just play that game. I wanted to ask you quickly. I noticed they gave Ned the start tonight, and I saw on Twitter and Instagram people were clamoring for Ned to start this game. People were literally begging in the comments, please do not put Jari in, please start Ned, etc. And I was on board with that. I thought Ned has been at times the more like, it just seemed like he was a little bit more structured in net, not as I like to say swimming around in the net, not as acrobatic. He's just looked a little more calm in there, quieter. Maybe quieter is a good word. He's looked quieter in the net than Jari. And it wasn't a good outing for him, seeing the final score. It was an out of character performance by Jeremy Swayman, I'll say as well. Typically a pretty solid goaltender. Are you glad that maybe Ned took this one on the chin? I mean, they got the win. We can kind of walk away from this game satisfied with 2 points. But as far as Jari and his reputation and maybe his confidence level, is this a game you're glad maybe Ned took and kind of spared Jari the chaos that ensued from this game?
I mean, you don't know what kind of performance Jari would have had. I think in a game of this magnitude, this opponent in this arena, I think I would have gone with Jari. I really do. I think that when you're facing a premier opponent like this, you need your goalie to bounce back after the game that they lost, giving up 4 first-period goals on Tuesday night. I would have gone Jari, but yeah, he went Nedeljkovic, and again, not a great night, but I think it pretty much guarantees that we're going to see a little more Jari at least the next 2 games this weekend and Monday. So, yeah, I mean, obviously the way Nedeljkovic is playing, it's not the worst decision in the world, but if I was choosing goalies tonight, I would have gone with Tristan Jari in goal, but hey, I don't get paid the bucks to make those decisions, luckily. And hey, now the Penguins get the win. And again, we still talk about that log jam in the Metro. The Penguins with the win, 37 games played, 42 points. They are 4 points behind the Carolina Hurricanes for second. The Penguins do have a game in hand there. They are 3 points, and then after that, it is 2 points between third place and seventh place at this point, and everybody's kind of starting to put distance between themselves and the Columbus Blue Jackets, and the Blue Jackets are also out of favor in terms of games played. They are at 40 already, way ahead of the rest of that division, and the Penguins are now, counting this game, they are up to a plus 14 goal differential as well, whereas of the three teams, one, two, three of the 4 teams ahead of them within 2 points, only the Flyers have a positive goal differential. So, yeah, you just got to keep plugging away and racking up points. Again, eventually something's going to give in this division. You have a lot of division games left as well. You have one. You have 2 next week. So you just got to keep plugging away and keep getting the wins.
Absolutely. And Robbie, I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but I'm looking at this logjam in the wild card out in the East, and I mean, something like you said, something's got to happen. I think a shoe's about to drop. However you want to say it. Um, are the Flyers for real? Like, are they going to keep? Are they just going to keep going with Torts heading that ship and having them play? Are they going to be in the hunt up until the trade deadline? Because we know New Jersey is a good team. I think that Timo Meyer's having a rough season, which is not what they signed him to do. They signed him to help push them over the top, and you could even argue he's a bit of a detriment to that team right now. The Capitals, I thought between the aging cores with Pittsburgh and Washington, I felt that the Capitals, and this isn't just a fan bias thing, I thought that the Capitals were, with losing Backstrom and Ovi having an off year, and they've got some youth in their lineup. Carlson's getting older. I think TJ Oshie's he's like 36 years old. I just figured that the Capitals were probably going to drop out of the. It wasn't even about making the playoffs. It was about getting Ovi Gretzky's record. Tampa, I never counted them out. And then looking at like Columbus, Ottawa, Detroit, like these were Buffalo. These were teams that before the season started, we had talked about. These are going to be the teams pushing out teams like the Capitals and the Penguins and the Islanders and such. But Ottawa is at the bottom. They have 28 points, dude. Like that is, I'm sorry for the Ottawa fans and the shrapnel they're getting right now, but dude, Ottawa did not see that coming. Columbus with 34. I think you could stick a fork in them. They're done. Buffalo, it's going to be a miracle for them to turn their season around, I think. Montreal, they're right where they probably want to be. They want to be near the bottom of the division, but I guess my question is, like, where's the separation going to happen here? Who do you see kind of falling out of this wild card race in the East, and why? Who and why?
So who do I see falling out? I see the Capitals. The Capitals of these teams that are around the Penguins here, when you look at the first tiebreaker, which is regulation wins, you have the Islanders at 13 of their 17 wins have come in regulation. The Flyers are 13 of their 19 wins have come in regulation. They've won 6 games in overtime or a shootout. Now the Devils are at 16 of 20. The Capitals are at 12 of 18. And the Penguins are at 16 of 19. So if it comes to a tiebreaker, the Penguins are in good position there. And I think one of the teams that's going to drop sooner or later is the two teams to watch for me at least are the Capitals. That negative 20 goal differential is not a sustainable margin to be at to be successful for 82 games. They were much higher up in the standings. They're now 4-4-2 in their last 10. I do think that they will eventually continue to slide back. And then the Islanders are my other team to watch here. The Penguins just basically dog walk them in 2 games in 5 days to wrap up the new year. The second one was obviously much closer than the first, but still the Penguins took great command. Those were 4 huge points for the Penguins to get without giving up a single point in return in those games. And the Islanders sitting at a negative 10 goal differential. I just think unless Sorokin turns into a mutant like he has in the past, I just don't know if that team can sustain what they're doing the rest of the season. Either the Flyers, I think the Flyers are where the Flyers may end up. I think the way they're playing, they kind of have a horseshoe up their rear at this point, but at the same time, at some point, the results are the results, and they have good stretches and bad stretches, but Tortorella is going to have that team ready to play night in and night out, regardless of who they're icing. So they're going to be a dogged out any night. So you always have to be prepared for them, and if they can keep just kind of chipping away and getting points, I think they're going to be at that bubble right until the end of the season. So the 2 teams I'm looking out for more than any are the Islanders and Capitals to drop. I think the Penguins, all in all, are better than the Flyers. And the Devils, unless they find a way to get some kind of goaltending, or not the Flyers, the Devils, unless they can get some kind of goaltending, I think the Penguins can eventually overtake them. But again, there's so much talent in that team that they're going to be a hard out every night. And I think they're going to have a say in the second half of the season. But unless they can do something in net, they're going to have an uphill climb to get back into the thick of the Stanley Cup conversation. So I think they're right in it. If the Penguins can keep winning games, this isn't the most difficult month of the season by any means. You have Saturday, you have a struggling Sabres team, a very, very crucial game on Monday against the Flyers, a good Canucks team who we've talked about. Like, are they good? Or are they not? I guess we'll find out about them here next week. The Hurricanes, who the Penguins, again, Hurricanes, all this hype, but the Penguins are 4 points behind them with a game in hand. So a big game there. Seattle, who is kind of struggling, a big win on New Year's Day. Maybe that'll change some of their fortune. We'll wait and see, but that's a home game. And then they do have a little Western road trip here out west. They play Vegas, who they've already shut out this year, a pesky Carolina or Arizona team, and then they come back home before the All-Star break with a game against the Panthers, who, yeah, the Panthers are a good hockey team, but I think the Penguins can beat them.
They have their holes.
Yeah, and then you wrap up before the break with the Canadiens, who we know are kind of where they planned on being in their rebuild. So, again, there's a lot of points on the table the rest of this month, and a lot of points that I think the Penguins, the way they're playing right now, are going to take a good chunk of those points heading into the bye week / All-Star game at the end of the month. So everything's wide open right now, from the wild card to all the way up into the division. It feels like it's a free for all.
It does. I agree that Washington and the Islanders would probably be my picks of teams to fall off here. I thought the Islanders are playing better than I expected them to already this season. I just don't know if it's sustainable, unless, of course, they have that goaltender that could cause a lot of problems for a lot of teams down the road. The Islanders forward group and defense could lay eggs, but that Sorokin can keep them in. The Capitals, Darcy Kemper isn't a Sorokin. He's not a goaltender that necessarily steals a ton of games for their teams. He's competent. I'll say that. He has a Stanley Cup. You got to put some respect on his name, but he's not in the top 5. I would probably say he's probably not even in the top 10 goaltenders in the league. And with the Capitals' age, I can't see them sustaining, and unless Ovi, I mean, God forbid, Ovi could catch fire and could win them a couple of games here and there. You hope he doesn't. One thing you brought up a couple times, and we talked about the goaltending tonight, and I'll tie it in with that. Are the Penguins a team that has goaltending?
It's at the close to the bottom of my worries right now. Okay. Not that it can't fall off, but I have no reason to think that they don't have at least better than average goaltending. I would take their goaltending over what I've seen out of the Capitals and Devils at the very least. Sorokin, Sorokin, again, he could turn into a mutant at any point. He's not Tristan Jarry, he's not Igor Shesterkin. The Flyers, you're getting good enough goaltending to be, it's all kind of working together for the Flyers. It's kind of like almost like a clockwork. It's just everything seems to be working for them. Even on nights when it's not great, they bounce back. In Carolina, who does Carolina the goaltender even?
It's Peter Kochetkov, and
that's right.
He shares the net with Freddie Anderson's out, and it's Antti Ranta.
That's right. Yeah, and again, they're a team that goaltending. They play such a good defensive structure that they can get away with average to below average goaltending on most nights. But again, if somebody goes down on that blue line, all of a sudden they have a weakness there. But the Penguins wise, I'm not really concerned about the goaltending, even counting in tonight's game with Nedeljkovic. It's just that's one of those games where both teams pop off and the goalies are just kind of there taking up space.
One more question for you, Robbie, and that is just for conversation's sake. After a game like tonight, where we kind of spoke about it, and we're seeing this bottom six chemistry kind of coming together a little bit. We notice it when it's there, and we really notice it when it's not there. But the bottom six seems to be buying into their roles. I think they're finding a home within this Penguins roster. Is it safe to say that maybe the Penguins haven't put it all together yet? Like, we haven't seen like what the penultimate of this roster could potentially be. Because at times I feel that way, that there hasn't been a game yet this season where Sid's line's going, Gino's line is going, Letang is doing his thing, and we have Carlson dancing at the same time while the bottom six is simultaneously clicking. Do you agree with me there that maybe that we haven't even seen maybe the Penguins' like best game yet this season?
I think we've seen it at times, but I don't think we've seen it for anything more than like 2 or 3 games at a time. I'd like to see over a course of a month stretch, this all come together. Not that you can't have off nights, but we've seen that, and when it's all come together, it's looked really good. I just want to see it for an extended multi-week stretch where they put it all together and really see what this team can do.
I agree. I think the consistency is the main thing. Even if if all systems aren't firing, we've seen in the last stretch of games here since the right before the holiday break that if the Paints could play this consistently like this every night, and they're gonna lay an egg once in a while, but they could play like this all the time. I mean, they're just gonna climb. They're just gonna keep climbing the wild card and up the standings. I mean, this team is looking like the true kind of Sullivan run team that we're used to seeing.
Absolutely. And tonight again, if the goaltending's are tonight and they play like that, like the lineup does tonight, man, they would have really driven it home tonight. But hey, at least you got that depth playing tonight. You got the stars showing up, and you get the win, and that's really all that counts right now. Again, right now the Penguins just have to get points. Doesn't have to be pretty. I don't care if it's the ugliest game you ever play. The points are what's most important right now.
Points is the name of the game, fellas. That's what you heard it here first.
Absolutely. But, yeah, looking ahead here real quick before we wrap this up. Like I mentioned, Saturday the Penguins are back in action at home. It's the Buffalo Sabres coming to town, and I believe this will wrap up the season series with the Sabres. That's at 7 o'clock. And then Monday, the Penguins head back to the road for a Pennsylvania showdown with the Flyers, a very crucial game there, as we've discussed. So, yeah, hang on to your butts. These 2 games coming up here. Buffalo, a game where with what's coming up next week, you have 3 teams in playoff positioning. Buffalo's a game you need to try to get 2 points out of, even doing whatever you possibly need to do to get that. And then a big week with some opponents where we'll get a better idea of who the Pens are and what kind of points they can grab out of a big week coming up. But that starts on Saturday against the Sabres at PPG Paints Arena.
2 games that they should be able to grab a couple of points at minimum. So pumped for those games. And when did you say the Flyers game was? Is that on Monday?
That's on Monday, yes.
Okay, right on. All righty. Well, happy that was an exciting game against Boston.
It was.
Despite the goalies probably feeling like they were in chaos the entire time. 2 points that they needed. That's all I got for this one, Rob. You got any final touches for this post-game wrap-up?
I got nothing. We'll take the 2 points, and we'll talk again on Saturday.
Sounds good. Thanks for listening, everybody. Talk to you on Saturday.